What to watch in TBT's Super 16. The Super 16 for the basketball tournament, the $2 million winner-take-all nationwide competition, will be Thursday and Friday at Philadelphia University, with 4 quarter-final matchups on Saturday. There are 8 teams composed of college basketball alumni remaining and 3 teams that were in last year's semifinals, including defending champions Overseas Elite. The semifinals will be played at Fordham University, and the championship game, with $2 million on the line, will be August 2 at 9 p.m. Both the semifinals and final will be on ESPN. Here's a look at each Super 16 matchups. Northeast.No. 1 City of Gods vs. number 5 Team Folk, Thursday 4 p.m. on ESPN. 3 City of Gods features more former NBA players on the roster than just about anyone else in the event, with Darius Johnson and Michael Sweetney joining James White and Pops Mensah Bonsu. They made it to the semifinals a year ago and added the high-flying White. There's also former Drexel point guard Phil Goss, ex-Georgetown guard Chris Wright and former Maryland big man James Johnson, the 6th overall pick in the 2000 draft, has averaged 28 points and 8 boards in their 2 wins. There's a heavy Kansas connection with Folk, beginning at the top with booster Thomas Robinson, general manager Markieff Morris and coach Marcus Morris. There's also a pair of former Jayhawks in the backcourt with Tyshawn Taylor and Elijah Johnson. Ex-Villanova guard Maalik Wayns has been stellar thus far, as his former St. John's power forward Sean Evans. Number 2 Bohemians Army vs. number 3 The Untouchables, Thursday 7 p.m. On ESPN. Bohemians Army is littered with former Syracuse players from the past 15 years, starting with Hakim Warrick, Daryl Watkins and Terrence Roberts. It continues with Eric Devendorf and Reek Jackson and culminates with guys like Brandon Triche, C.J. Fair and Baye Moussa Keita. It will be like an old Big East battle with the Syracuse-laden group going up against the Untouchables, a team filled with former Pittsburgh Panthers. There's Gilbert Brown, Garrett McGee, Levance Fields, Brad Wanamaker and Antonio Graves, along with former UMass guard Ricky Harris and ex-Oklahoma wing Cameron Clark. Thus far, Wanamaker has been the team's top scorer at 20 points per game. Midwest note: 5 Pedro's Posse vs. number 9 Always at Brave, Friday 9 p.m. on ESPN. My Bibby and Jason Williams have led the way for Pedro's Posse for the first 2 victories. Bibby, who won a national title with Arizona, was the 2nd overall pick in 1998 and spent more than a decade in the NBA. Almost had a triple-double in the opener, while Williams, who is 40 years old, had 17 points and 10 assists in the win. Bibby and Williams have a supporting cast that includes former Florida State guards Diavitas Dalkis and Luke Lux and ex-Chattanooga guard Bryan Richardson, who is 11 of 17 from beyond the arc in the 2 wins. Always a Brave is full of former Bradley players on the 2006 team that knocked off Kansas and Pittsburgh to reach the Sweet 16. Big man Patrick O'Brien was selected 9th overall in the 2006 draft, but it's been Marcellus Sommerville who has led the way thus far, averaging 22 5 points and 7 boards in the 2 wins. Other 2006 Braves on the squad include Will Franklin, Daniel Ruffin, Tony Bennett and Jeremy Crouch. There's also Sam Maniscalco, Matt Salley and Phillip Gilbert. Number 6 Golden Eagles Alumni vs. Number 7 Armored Athlete. Friday 7 p.m. On ESPN2. The Golden Eagles Alumni team has Marquette written all over it, from the booster Steve Novell to the coaches Wesley Matthews and Travis Diener to the general manager Dan Fitzgerald and the players Darius Johnson-Odom, Dwight Buycks, Jerel McNeal, Joe Chapman, Imbo Aker, Dwight Burke, Jamil Wilson, Derek Wilson, and Marcus Jackson make up the roster. Buycks had 27 points in each of the team's 2 wins while Chapman averaged 18. Jamil Wilson finished with 22 points in a blowout over a Michigan State-filled Spartans Heroes squad. Armored Athlete is best known for its trio of former Indiana Hoosiers, Christian Watford, Jordan Hulls and Will Sheehey. However, it's been a pair of ex-Holy Cross standouts, David Dudzinski and Malcolm Miller, who have been just as valuable to their early success. Former Florida State scoring guard Isaiah Swann had 22 points in the last game. This team also features former Butler star Roosevelt Jones. South Note: to Overseas Elite vs. Number 3 Ram Nation. Thursday 9 p.m. on ESPN3. The core of the defending champion and $1 million winners Overseas Elite is back, a group that includes C.J. McCallum's brother, Eric, the pair of ex-St. John's players in DJ Kennedy and Paris Horn, former Arizona guard Kyle Fogg, as well as Jondre Jefferson and Todd O'Brien up front. The big change thus far has been that Dean Rickane, who played at Marshall and Iowa State, has moved into the spot that was held by Moussa Keita.It a year ago. Fogg averaged 22.5 points with Kennedy adding 18.5 in the 2 victories thus far. 5 players on VCU's team that shocked the country and went from the first 4 to the final 4 back in 2011 are on this Ram Nation squad. There's Bradford Burgess, who has averaged 19.5 points in the 2 wins. Point guard Joey Rodriguez, forward Jamie Skeen, who had 26 in the Elite 8 win over Kansas back in 2011, Darius Johnson and Brandon Russell. Former first-round pick Larry Sanders is on the roster, but his status is uncertain because of an injury. Number 5 TMD vs. Number 8 Train to Go, Thursday 2 p.m. On ESPN2. Former Ole Miss guard Marshall Henderson is the star attraction of TMD because of his personality, but this team has been led by a pair of other guards, Christopher Warren and B.J. Young. Warren also played at Ole Miss while Young starred at Arkansas. The front court also features a couple of guys who played at prominent programs, Mike Bruce-Witz Wisconsin and Calvin Godfrey Memphis. Train to Go pulled off the upset over the region's number 1 seed, Bluff City Blues, the team that was loaded with Memphis alumni. Former Clayton State guard Brandon Robinson led the way with 21 points in the win, and another less heralded player, Brent Jennings, scored 32 points in the first-round win over the primetime players. The most recognizable name on the team is former Georgia guard Damian Wilkins, the nephew of former NBA star Dominique Wilkins. Vest note: 1 Team 23 vs number 5 Team Colorado, Friday 2 p.m. On ESPN3. Team 23 lost in the title game a year ago, and it brings back the core of that team, led by guard David White. It was former IPFW guard Frank Gaines, the new addition this year, who erupted for 30 points in the victory to reach the Super 16, while former Yukon big man Gavin Edwards had a double-double with 17 points and 12 boards. Team Colorado is full of ex-Colorado Buffaloes, most of whom have spent their professional career overseas. The team's star thus far has been guard Marcus Hall, who averaged 29 points in the 2 wins. Richard Roby, who played in Boulder from 2004 to 2008, is one of the team's top players. The group also features Marcus Relford, Dominique Coleman and Levi Knutson. Number 3 Few Good Men vs number 7 Team Utah, Friday 4 p.m. On ESPN3 with Zags coach Mark Few as the booster. Few Good Men is a well-known group full of former Bulldogs. Micah Downs averaged 18.5 points in the 2 victories, but the former Zags have done it with depth and balance. Jeremy Hargo, Austin Day, Dan DeCowell, Mike Hart, Casey Cavalry and Drew Bottom are on the roster. A couple of key pickups are former St. John's big man Justin Burrell and ex-Missouri big man Leo Leone. DeCowell and Blake Stepp have handled the coaching duties thus far, but there's a chance former Bulldog John Stockton might take the reins at some point. Team Utah is a youth alumni team led by Tim Drisdom, Sean Green, Lawrence Borja, Brian Markson and Dakari Tucker.